Hello, and on the gaming table today, we're taking a look at Strength and Honor once again. It's been quite a while since I had a game of Strength and Honor, so I thought I'd get it back on the table and just solo it out, kind of refresh myself through the rules again, and yeah, have a bit of fun. So what I did is I put together a late Republican Roman warlord force, which is from the original Strength and Honor book, and a Seleucid force, which is from the Conquest supplement book. The two periods overlap. I don't have my Manipular Legions kind of printed out and painted up yet, so I have to use my regular late Republican Legions, and the time period kind of for the end of the Seleucid period works with that, so that's what I'm doing here today. So here we can see the forces kind of laid out on the table, ready to get going. Both sides are 99 points, and the Seleucid side has obviously pike phalanxes, but they've also got some Theophoroi, they've got a couple of warbands, they've got some cavalry, they've got some archers, they've got skirmishers. They're a pretty varied sort of force. No elephants. And on the Roman side, the Romans have got 5 legions, a little bit of cavalry and skirmishers, but they've also got 4 warbands, right? So these are like allied warbands. And this is taking place kind of somewhere, in Syria or that kind of region, perhaps, as the Romans invade. So yeah, let's take a look and see how it plays out. So the last move here before getting started is the Romans broke down one of their skirmishers into strips. So they went on the warbands and one of the legions, and that'll just give them a wee bit more punch in combat. And then we started to get the moves off. Now you can see the terrain here is pretty much dominated by the hill in the center of the field, and also at the top of the screen there's another hill and quite a lot of rough ground around that, patches of trees and things. So that's going to stop too much flanking going on that side of things, probably. And here the lines are just starting to move kind of towards each other. The warband's obviously a bit hard to control, so sometimes you want to move your formed troops up and then hope your warbands kind of end up roughly in the right sort of place. But yeah, here things slowly kind of moving together. It takes a little bit of time, but eventually we start getting some push and shove going on. Actually, one of the other things you can see here is both armies at the bottom of the screen, left and right flanks respectively, have quite a lot of congestion in their troops. They've got like the double-ranked warbands and also some double-ranked Theophoroi there, and skirmishers and archers and cavalry and so on the Seleucid side. Makes things a little bit harder to maneuver, also with the Romans having one legion behind the other. That was just kind of where things had to be based on where the deployment zones were, and the units just kind of had to stack up in that way. So the first contact was made at the top of the screen. The Seleucid cavalry went into the Roman cavalry, but then a little bit later, the Roman cavalry pushed back the Seleucids and disordered them. As just happened there a couple of times, I had to disappear and go away and check some rules in the book to remember how a couple of things worked, like when you fall back, do you go through skirmishes or do you push the skirmishes back? I couldn't remember. I had to look that one up. But then the Roman cavalry kind of got tangled up with the skirmishers in the rough ground, so that's not good for the Roman cavalry. We'll see how that one plays out. In the centres, the legions and the phalanxes eventually got together, and at the bottom of the screen, the congestion was kind of holding things up. Here you'll notice some little white markers appearing next to units as well. That's like my little activation, that unit has taken its turn kind of marker. Initially I wasn't doing that, and then as you kind of get into the game, especially when you're soloing it, you start forgetting what's moved. So I just use a little marker to remind me what's moved in this turn. Also, for you, that's kind of useful watching. You can see as the markers disappear, that's because a reversal of fortune must have happened and players passing to the other side. So I guess that makes it easier for you watching as well. Here, the Seleucids seem to be making fairly good go of it so far, and they're starting to push back the Romans in a couple of places. And when they lose their turn, usually it's because of a reversal of fortune due to a failed maneuver. Again, that congestion and trying to get, say, the Theophoroi or the archers or the cavalry into action there is forcing a lot of maneuver rolls, and that's where a lot of the reversal of fortunes are happening on the Seleucid side. Happened a bit for the Romans as well, with that legion kind of in the second line trying to get through. Was having a lot of trouble doing that. Now, this was one of the 2 critical points in the game. Here, the Roman general's legion had a grind result trying to attack one of the phalanxes, so both sides fell back. The Roman legion didn't get disordered. Unfortunately, the phalanx did and routed from the table, failing its discipline check. So that suddenly left a gaping hole in the middle of the phalanx line there, and that started to cause problems for the Seleucids. Also at the top of the screen, the Roman cavalry has managed to turn It's not on the flank of the phalanx, but as we'll see later, that move also was rather critical. The skirmishers at the top of the screen kind of facing off against each other, not really doing too much in that rough ground. On the Seleucid side here, basically kind of seeing that there's some problems in the right and center of their line. They're trying to use the left of their line at the bottom of the screen here to engage with the Romans, having a little bit of success, but they keep failing critical rolls for things like charges or maneuvers, and that's messing them up. Meanwhile, the Romans in the middle, the legions are starting to deal with the phalanxes now that they've got some opportunities to have support from the overlap, kind of due to the gaps. And so they're starting to push back some of the phalanxes there as well. So here was the other critical move in the game. With the last unit left kind of to move in their turn, the Romans tried to move their cavalry, maneuver it in a charge into the flank of the phalanx at the top of the screen. Managed to come off. It was a risky roll, but they managed to get it off. And then the phalanx got smashed and had to retreat back into enemy and therefore got annihilated. So that caused a second disaster card on the Seleucid side. And at that point, the Romans decided to call Homunculus Est. The Seleucids did have a strategy point, but because that would, spending that would put them behind the curve, as it were, and the Romans didn't have any setback cards at that stage, the Seleucids just tried to say, well, let's just take it and see what happens. But unfortunately, the total was 23 and their break was only 19. And so that was the win for the Romans. So yeah, overall the game went pretty quickly. The game covered quite a few turns there, as you could see, lots of back and forth as I'm moving across the table. But yeah, in all, it only took about 50 minutes to play start to finish. So pretty quick game, even though there's fairly sizable forces on each side. Anyway, so that was another Strength and Honor game. Hope you found that a little bit interesting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.